I will mention National Street Pass Day. Tell everyone
Yes.
to get out to either Waterloo or Manchester
And rub themselves up against other people.
I can rub them down with my 3DS.
Damn it, all I've now got is like a new version of Bump and Grind, but with sort of like, gonna go rub you down with a little 3DS. It just works.
Still sexy.
So sexy.
It's deeply worrying.
Do not get aroused on Street Pass Day.
No.
That's the Dealspwn top tip.
You'll get locked up. That's a terrible idea. Hello, folks, and welcome to Game Buzz, where we go through the week's news, picking out the juiciest morsels from the bulletin board. I'm Matt, and I'm joined this week it's just Carl this week. We have no John.
Sup? Yeah, John's off.
John's
from what I understand, I thought he was like fighting a killer whale or something. That's what I heard.
He's harpooning sharks.
Yeah, it's what he does when he's not reporting the news. He's harpooning wild animals.
Have we just basically said that John is in fact like a poacher, and that's
yes.
bad. I'm not sure that's a good thing. He does have mad monster hunting skills.
Well, there you go. That's all it is. It's, you know.
But he only hunts down bad monsters. Like, he doesn't hunt down endangered monsters.
Exactly. Yes.
That's
no.
important, I think.
He's a good poacher. I don't know where I'm going with this.
No.
Let's carry on.
News. And in the news this week, well, obviously the big thing this week is GTA. We're gonna go through a couple of little things before we hit that. One of which is this sort of it's kind of a U-turn made by Blizzard on their auction houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of, I want to say needed, but it's an interesting move in the fact that it was one of those things that was so core to the experience.
Yeah.
Or so they said. And now they're getting rid of it. Which some people are obviously going great because it kind of, well, as they even said themselves, it kind of detracts from the whole essence of Diablo, which is you defeat monsters and get cool loot.
Yeah. And I think the thing is, like, when they released the console version, which obviously doesn't have an auction house, and then loads of people turned around and said, well, this is so much better than the PC version. They kind of went, oh, shit. Oh, yeah, people like loot, don't they?
Yeah, we do.
And they basically just turned around and said, yeah, now with this whole loot 2.0 system, there's not really a need for an auction house, which is kind of what a whole bunch of us were saying from the start.
I mean, it was an interesting go at it. I mean, because when I spoke to Jeremy Gaffney earlier in the year about WildStar's monetization thing, I basically, one of the quotes that he said was that in Korea, I mean, they did a study and essentially they were making something like, say, $4 million in a year. And then they had to look at how much people were making on eBay selling items and characters and stuff, and it was 4 or 5 times that. So there is a business to be found in this sort of thing, but unfortunately Blizzard took a gamble at it and didn't get it right.
Well, the thing is, you look at something like Team Fortress 2, which has just the most insane marketplace for, but that's all for that sort of, that's cosmetic items, rather than sort of the fundamental underpinning mechanism of your game, which is loot. It's a loot grinder. An entire genre has been created by the Diablo franchise, and it's called Loot Grinder. The emphasis is on the loot. What are you doing, Blizzard?
It was a shame that they didn't have everything probably working at launch. I mean, I think that didn't help things at all as well. I mean, you know, the auction house wasn't working properly at launch. And PvP still isn't in the game. So, I mean, that probably could have really fired up the auction house. You know, I want to get the best piece of loot so that when I go and do PvP, I will kill everyone. But, of course, that didn't happen and never will. So, you know, at least I tried.
Yeah, there is that. But it kind of renders the whole... Remember when the whole always online thing happened at the start? People were just like, what is this for? And they said, well, it's kind of for the auction house that isn't here quite yet, but it will be. And now there's just really no need for it whatsoever.
Yeah. Good luck with getting in an offline mode. I promise they will not do it.
No, or just buy the console version because it's really good.
Yeah.
Well, for a Diablo 3 game.
Yes.
Yeah,
or just get Torchlight. Just get Torchlight.
Just get Torchlight and Torchlight 2. They are astounding and basically pick up where Diablo 2 left off. And as we've noted on site, like a number of our regulars, like Anarchist and Quietus in particular, have mentioned that they just didn't feel necessarily like a Diablo game to a certain extent, and I think that rings true.
Absolutely.
And it's a shame in a way because we've waited so long for it. It's just been a bit of an omni-shambles.
Not quite the omni-shambles as, say, Sim City, which, could give us a rather good, a quick mention of the fact that they've got their expansion coming out, and it's going to be stupid.
But does it expand the city limits, Carl?
No, it doesn't. No. And it doesn't even give us an offline mode there. They're just bringing it out so you can have neon on your cities.
They can't not know. I mean, they can't not be aware that it's the one. Well, those two things. Those are the two things people want: expanded city limits and an offline mode. I don't even really care at this point about an offline mode because, like, I mean, you get like 10 minutes grace and you're going to be connected anyway because it's fucking Origin. So like, that's understandable. I can understand the principle behind it, but it's just those city limits, man.
Yep.
Like,
if only.
Hey, not get it yet, Maxis.
But Matt, on the other hand, EA, that changes could be coming because they've now got their new CEO. So
they do.
Another little segue there for you. Cha-ching.
You are knocking these segues out of the park. It's quite nice because we all thought it would be Peter Moore.
Yep.
It's definitely not Peter Moore.
No, it is not. It is Andrew Wilson, who is
the guy known as Sports. If you watch the abridged version of that, of the Microsoft press conference, he's a sports guy, which is understandable because he used to. Well, his former role was the head of EA Sports, but I don't know. It's going to be an interesting little transition, and I don't know. Personally, I would have liked Peter Moore to have gotten it because Peter Moore, yes, he does. He spouts a lot of sort of party line PR guff from time to time, but then he gets angry and tells you what he really thinks, and that is a really valuable commodity at a company that struggles for personality. I feel, and struggles with its public image, and it's the same thing. It's the same thing we've said of Microsoft, like. Being relatable is key. Like Sony have this very sort of personal front, and it's the same sort of with Ubisoft actually, because you got like Eve is quite cuddly. He is a little bit, but EA, I don't know. Well, EA have always been this corporate leviathan, and Peter Moore does a good job of breaking through that at times. I'm not necessarily sure Andrew Wilson does. He's very much. I don't know.
I guess time will tell. But, I mean, at least they now have someone as their head now, which is, I suppose, good. And it means that they can properly start ringing out the changes that they are saying will be coming. And, quality innovation was one of those things that was put out. And whether they will or whether we get, Medal of Honor is to be seen.
Yeah, and there's a very interesting quote in there. He said he was working to fail as fast as possible, which seemed like an odd quote. But when sort of he clarified this by basically saying that what he wants is feedback. Like he wants he has to be reaching out to the community to tell them what they're doing wrong, which kind of you didn't really need to ask for that.
It's right there.
I think it's more of a case of EA really, really sort of shaping to listen, and with a new head, we might see a sort of new culture and new philosophy happening. And he spoke about sort of developing those. It's going to be interesting to see where this new head takes the company. So yes, exciting times for EA. Exciting times too for SEGA.
Yes, that was big
JRPG news. Fans just everywhere because Atlus has finally found a buyer, and it's SEGA. In case you hadn't realised from that awful stuff.
It's fine. We will work with it. Move on. Yeah, I mean, as one of our commenters late said in the news post, he was surprised because it had Nintendo written over it, this takeover. But I think we pointed out quite a few times that it was never going to be that simple where one of the big three were going to be able to take this and have a smooth transition doing so, just because of the whole, the IPs being tied to certain platforms, such as Persona, for instance. So it makes sense really for someone like Sega to have bought them, and it means that pretty much it's going to be, well, everything will carry on as normal, really. Would have thought.
Yeah, hopefully so. I mean, two sort of Japanese leviathans there, both with sort of heavy presences in the West as well. Like you'd imagine it would be smooth sailing, and Sega would just allow Atlus to continue doing what they're doing. And yeah, as you say, it would have been there would have been difficulties because Atlus have both exclusive content for certain platforms and also multi-platform leviathans. So
yeah,
but damn good that they found
Absolutely.
a buyer. Like that is one company we did not want to see go under at all, and it's good news for JRPG fans everywhere. Woo!
Yay!
Other stuff from this week. A couple of little things. First of all, September the 28th has been branded National Street Pass Day, which means you need to get your asses down to London Waterloo or Manchester Piccadilly Station and be prepared for people to rub their consoles all over you looking for those street passes. Oh yeah, street passing is a physical activity. Make sure you stretch.
This is wrong. This is
set
so
up some personal space barriers, perhaps, to stop people from, rubbing too hard.
See, I'd put my 3DS on like something like a pole or something and just like poke it at people, just like
Well, no, the thing is though,
from a safe distance.
If what you've actually got is a 2DS and you tie that to a pole, you've essentially created an axe. And at a train station, I don't think that's going to go down very well.
You and your technicalities, you're ruining my fun. Yeah. So yeah, but our advice: don't do what I just suggested. Do not create an axe and take it to the Street Pass Day meet.
But do go to Street Pass Day. Imagine I'll be running around Waterloo,
rubbing down people,
just shaking people down with their Street Pass. Give me your Street Pass. Swear to me. Something like that. A little bit of news about news. We're not going to go into it, but apparently there's a little Steam hardware thing coming next week, which is interesting.
Yes. Which we will
finally see or get.
Finally hear something. I mean, Steam themselves, well, Valve, have been very cagey about what they're going to be doing in terms of hardware. So the fact that they've announced it is worth noting, but of course we will be able to talk about it in much greater detail next week.
Do we think Linux is the future of gaming?
I think they need to expand the library of games a little bit before we can say yes, frankly, because I mean they are getting there. There are more Linux versions of games coming onto Steam every single day, but frankly, everything's on Windows.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that. It's nice and it's super convenient.
Yeah,
people don't really care too much about all of the sort of customization stuff and really, really in-depth choice and the freedom of options that you've got with Linux. People like convenience, and I think it was Hurricane that he came up with a brilliant quote in the comments, which is Linux is only free if the value of my time is 0.
Which is absolutely correct.
Which is so damn true.
It's kind of like why people look to things like Apple products. They're just simple to use and easy. By comparison, it's kind of like Apple in terms of ease. Apple, Microsoft, and then Linux by far. So I think they're going to have to really show us why it's worthwhile getting a Linux machine if they really want us to get on board. But of course, we will find out more about that next week.
We will. And I think that's pretty much it from all the normal news. Let's turn our attention.
Yes.
To Grand Theft Auto 5, which has clearly been the biggest event, the biggest news thing of this week. GTA 5 is upon us. It released on Tuesday. Loads of people went down to their local game.
Yep.
And snaffled up a copy at a midnight launch. And yeah, GTA 5.
It's here. and it's very big.
It's very big.
Very big.
It's made a whole butt ton of money.
Yes, it's basically made back everything and then some. Yes, 800 million is the figure that is currently going around.
Because it was ridiculously expensive to make. In fact, the most expensive game. And it made that all back in pre-orders.
Yes.
Which is seriously impressive. But it's important to note that GTA 5 is, or the Grand Theft Auto, ever since it got taken over by Rockstar, has become an event.
Oh, absolutely.
They handled that IP incredibly well in sort of cultivating massive hype.
Absolutely. I mean, we were. I will put my hands up and I'll say that I was very skeptical because of the way they were doing that. It was very slow. We found out that GTA 5 was coming out well ahead of getting the first proper in-game trailer. And I wasn't having any of it because it was like, well, I can't see what we're going to be playing. I mean, even running up to the release, we didn't really have that much in the way of hands-on details. It was a select few people who had seen it, and that was it. So in a way, I still felt a little nervous going in rather blind, even after seeing the gameplay trailers. But it has proven to be quite enjoyable so far for me, I would have thought.
Yeah, I mean, our review is on its way. We got a copy late. So we missed the embargo. So we won't be rushing this one. We'll be doing this methodically, but it will be out before GTA arrives. But we'll get onto that in a minute. But yeah, I thought a bit of a slow start. But then and sort of a lot of very, very familiar mission types.
Yes.
Until we came to that sort of first heist, and it was kind of at that point that I went, this is actually what I want.
Absolutely.
This is what I've been waiting for. And we spoke about it before the game came out. We said this is potentially the most interesting thing about the game. And oh my God, when we get to do this ourselves and play as the other members of the crews in GTA Online.
Yes, I mean, that's
really exciting.
Absolutely. I mean, we need to see really how in depth we're going to be getting with these heists in terms of being able to have choices, because so the one heist mission that we've both done, you've given an option of how to approach it. And I want to know whether we're going to be given that sort of, not necessarily a huge amount of choice, but at least a little bit of choice in terms of how we go about things on GTA Online. So that I'm looking forward to. But even so, even if it's just a simple, like, dumb run in, shoot the place up sort of thing, I mean, that's still going to be pretty cool, I would have thought. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm having the most fun doing things that aren't part of the story missions.
That's kind of always been the GTA way.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I've done is, as Trevor, I've gotten onto a quad bike, driven up to the top of a mountain, and then launched myself off and seen how far I can get down the hill without getting wasted. I haven't managed it yet, but it's so much fun. So much fun, and it's horrifying when he collapses on top of a ragged edge. Horrifying. Absolutely horrifying.
There is one thing that the GTA 5 has really taught me that the previous games only really hinted at, and that's just how expensive medical bills are in the US. Like, it takes a hefty chunk. It takes like a handful of thousands out of your bank account every time you get wasted. It's quite punitive in that respect.
But on the bright side, you get to keep your guns.
This is true.
So, swings and roundabouts. I'll tell you what, though. If you've already seen on site, we've got my Grand Theft Dealspwn articles going up, and we'll hopefully see if we can get like a few of the other guys to chip in with things moving forward. But one thing that I have loved about it is beards. Beards. I have given basically all of my guys a really awesome facial hair. I mean, Franklin's got a stylish sort of like goatee stubbly thing going on. Michael's got a very manly beard going on. But Trevor, oh my, basically I've edited him so he looks like this sort of like wild man version, well, caveman version of Macho Man Randy Savage, and it's absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So yeah, you'll be seeing pictures of that very soon.
I turned him into Hihachi. Because with a haircut with like the little tufts.
Yeah.
And then gave him the handlebar mustache. He looked like Hihachi.
Oh, amazing.
It's quite good.
I mean, admittedly, the options aren't necessarily a lot, but I like what is there, and hopefully we'll get all of the customization options we could possibly handle with GTA Online. So
it's just, yeah, and the size factor is important. The thing that I was worried actually in the first couple of hours. I was like, there's this massive, enormous map, and it is, oh my god, it's so big.
Yeah.
But in the first few hours, it doesn't populate it terribly well necessarily.
Yeah.
In terms of like sort of dedicated things to do. I mean, you can go off and explore and everything, but there's not much that you can actually access in the first few hours.
Yeah.
But then when it opens up, it's for a map that size, they've done a good job of sort of populating it with interesting little things to do.
Absolutely, it's almost like the world's most in-depth tutorial. So like unlocking the different aspects, such as flying and then activities and everything else. It's very, very slow, but it's. I mean, I've enjoyed the build-up, but I think that's more to the fact that I haven't really stayed on script for a lot of it. I've made my own fun.
Yeah.
Which is important for those sort of games, and it's good that you can still do that. So, I mean, obviously, there's still a lot more to look at. We're only really scratching the surface at the moment because the game is that big. But it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out on the whole as a game. And I do not envy you having to do the review at all.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting as well. And I think, well, we're certainly going to be splitting it. Like, GTA Online is going to be treated as a separate entity.
Yeah.
Because it kind of is. But I think one of the things that came up, because I try to, if I'm reviewing a game, I try to avoid other reviews as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
It's very difficult for this because just the social media things are just flooded with opinions and stuff like that. And one of the things that I can't hugely pass judgment on at the moment, but it's going to become a concern to a certain degree, is the misogyny debate kicked off heavily.
Yes.
Which, to be honest, without, and I don't say this to excuse the series at all, but that's not really surprising given the series history.
No.
Rockstar have come under fire for needless controversy in this series before, and they've never been particularly good at writing women to a certain extent. There have been one or two characters like there were a couple in Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, can't remember her name, but McFarlane, I think the surname is. Yeah, she was a strong female character, and I mean, I've come across a few women that aren't portrayed as being completely useless in GTA 5. So I mean, it was an interesting comment that someone brought up. I think it was today, basically saying that it may not be that GTA 5 necessarily has the issue there. It's that people who play it, or the people who are arguing for it, have necessarily have the problems pretty much. And it's a weird one. I mean, we've seen all kinds of issues come out from this, like people attacking reviewers for not giving it perfect scores and other such things. It's been a right mess, frankly. But yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this now.
I think well the point I was going to make was that before it's been to a certain extent, when you're reviewing a game, you're able to separate out criticism and culture. But GTA is one of those games where culture is criticism because the game itself is so reflective, or purports to be so reflective of modern day culture. And I think one of the criticism of it has been that nearly all of the women you encounter in GTA are hoes.
I think most of the people in GTA are just idiots.
But that's the thing. Everyone, the calls have been made for sort of a female protagonist, and the idea that it's been slightly disappointing that we managed to have like a multiple sort of protagonist game for the first time, and there's no female perspective in that. And I can understand that because, as you say, everyone in GTA is mental.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're all caricatures, but being able to play through, like, I really like Franklin as a character.
Yes.
I find him very sympathetic, and being able to play through as a protagonist, as a character, you do see sort of beyond that satirical surface, I guess. Beyond caricature, they actually have to develop a character. Rockstar actually have to bother to develop a character. And it just happens that all the characters throughout the entire series have all been men. I don't necessarily think it's right to tell a game developer what they should or shouldn't be writing.
Yeah.
And it's entirely possible that actually the houses are shit at writing female characters, and that's why they've never done it.
Absolutely. It's actually a comment that Mike Bithel's been talking about on Twitter for the last couple of months about the fact that, people being forced to write roles in a specific gender won't necessarily work. Like his character, he actually envisioned as a female, but as he wrote out the stuff for Volume, it became quite apparent that actually the character was a male. And so he switched it all around. And so it's gone to that. And he basically said it's because that's what worked for the game. And for GTA, it's like I say, they can't be forced to write a female character and then do it badly. They've got to do a female character that fits right with the game. And so if they can do that, then fantastic. But I don't think they should be forced into doing it just because of the outcry that's come in the wake of the early coverage of GTA 5.
No, and I'm going to agree with you. I mean, developers should be free to pretty much do whatever the hell they want. And it should be up to us to kind of judge, critique, and suggest. And the thing is, and the great thing that's come out of this is that, well, now these dialogues are happening, and the sort of the rise of feminism in terms of video game culture has been on the rise for the last couple of years in a big way, and it's really good because this is finally coming. It's all coming out into the open, and there's clearly a market here. There's clearly a clamoring for new, fresh perspectives for the first time. Like sort of established, like GTA is a massive big deal, and it's being challenged on this, and that's a really good thing because it shows that we want big budget games from lots of different perspectives. Like, it's no good now just marketing it to that niche kind of stereotypical 90s cluster of masturbating male teens or whatever. Gamers are everywhere, and they're of all genders, all colors, of all ages, and that's really exciting. So it's really good that these dialogues are happening, and we should be critiquing the biggest games on the planet. I don't think games like GTA or COD or Battlefield should be getting sort of high scores just because they really look shiny and they're mechanically proficient.
Yeah,
like it's good to be able to have a dialogue, and that's why the GameSpot review was so awesome. Like, it was a 9 out of 10 review, and the backlash against it was completely untoward. But it's okay. It's okay to be able to say in a positive review, look, I love this game. I'm having a massive blast with it. But there are just one or two things that culturally, personally, because these are personal opinions.
Yeah.
I'm questioning. I'm having little issues with, and I'd like to see sort of discuss or develop, because at the end of the day, that's really exciting. And the fact is that GTA is being discussed, it's being deliberated over. People are ripping it apart and looking at all the little components, and that's a mark of a great game.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm just glad that, that we're not just sitting here going, oh no, guns and prostitutes and killing them, taking their money. It's a different conversation this time, which is kind of awesome. I mean, what's happened is awful, but still, it's nice to have a different topic for once.
Yeah,
frankly. But yes, I think getting back onto it from a sort of like a gamer perspective, I'm enjoying it. I hope that I continue to enjoy it as I carry on going through the game, because there's still so much more to get through. So much more. And I have to say that even though he is absolutely psychotic and utterly brutal and utterly insane, Trevor is amazing. Absolutely amazing. I mean, it's like I'm going back and forth between wanting to root for him and not. It's really just it's just so much fun, frankly. And he just comes out with absolutely insane comments. So yeah, looking forward to carrying on with it.
He's a very, very interesting character,
and he looks like Macho Man Randy Savage in my version. So it's win-win, frankly.
So yeah, our GTA we'll be bringing you a whole ton of GTA coverage from now until the end of the year.
Absolutely. Oh, GTA Online. Yes, you just wait for that.
Come out, and expect a lot of playthroughs here. We're going to be forming a crew once the social club is actually up and running.
Yeah. Bad Rockstar.
Bad Rockstar. At least they're giving themselves a couple of weeks grace period, yeah. But
Absolutely.
the thought occurs, if they can't get an app to run properly, how are they going to get a massively persistent online world to just take that 800 million, Rockstar, and spend it on some goddamn servers?
That would be a very good idea.
Because you're going to need them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you were going to need them. Oh, yes. Mainly for my beards. I'm going to have a selection of beards I'm going to rotate through. And the servers will need to handle that.
I was actually reading, because the thing is, it varies. Like, the barber options vary depending on the character. It slightly irritated me that I couldn't turn Franklin into Shaft.
Yeah.
Because I really wanted to turn Franklin into Shaft.
Maybe through DLC.
Hopefully.
Or just do it on GTA Online. They've surely got to come up with more. We're going to have a whole army of Shafts just like attacking everybody.
Wait, what? Phrasing! Hang on though, I've got the best idea ever. Rockstar, if you wanted to look like awesome people and also give us the facial hair we need and deserve, Movember DLC.
Ooh, yes. Yes. Do it. Do it. They're not listening. They should be listening.
They should be listening.
Should.
That's our Dealspwn developer advice for this week. Movember DLC.
You're welcome, Rockstar.
Heard it here first. But yes, I think that's pretty much all from us this week. Do keep an eye on the site for more GTA coverage, more diaries. We're going to be sticking some videos up, and when GTA Online arrives, we are just going to be jumping into that all guns blazing with playthroughs. The reviews should be live early next week. And yeah, let us know what you're thinking of let us know what you're making of the game as well, because we'd love to. Part of the brilliance of GTA is that everyone can create their own mini little narratives and come away with water cooler anecdotes and crazy things they pulled. So do let us know. But until next time, thanks for listening, guys. We'll catch you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.